Hi, Cynthia Ming here at the Takahashi Dojo in Mount Kisco, New York. And it's been a pleasure to be here today and watch your class. Thank you. Arigato, I believe it is,
yes,
right? How long have you been here?
And about 14 years. And first I started Katona, next town. That's about 14 years ago.
Katona, New York.
Yes. And then it's like we moved to here 13 years. So all total 14 years.
Now, you, in your bio, it says that you took judo first in
Yes.
required.
My high school, my time, this the student have to choose judo or kendo. Okay, so and some reason I like judo, throwing each other. And then I find out that I'm very light that time, at about 130 pounds. And so heavy person, grab me, definitely throw, So I found the karate more chance, distance,
Yes.
Okay. So same time I start, karate.
Now, you had a choice between being an engineer and a karate?
Yes, I was a plastic engineer, but I love karate.
Yeah, I
but
could see
I'm
that,
not proud
yes.
to teaching karate, but I don't regret.
Your students are right with you when you're practicing.
Well, I came this country in 1971. So 2 years I teach this, other person's dojo, and then start my own school. That time, really, I don't have many students, but every time this, I wait, I go to dojo, student wait. So in that sense, I know I'm, very important to them, So they give me energy. I push them.
Yes,
I give them energy too.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's why we're good school.
Good for
really
each other.
family.
All right?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. I could really see that. I'm here with Ed Giobi, is that correct?
Right.
Giobi?
Yes.
And you're quite a renaissance man. Besides a karate practitioner, there's all this other stuff going on. Why don't you tell the folks at home you're an artist?
Yes, well, I'm a painter and a sculptor, and that's my profession. And I paint, I cook rather, and I write cookbooks on Italian food, and then I raise most of my own food as well. So it's all one
Tomatoes,
package.
olives,
Tomatoes, peppers. I put in 150 tomato plants a year, and I can 150 quarts of tomatoes
that right?
a year.
I saw you practicing, and I was quite amazed. And I said, here's a man, a senior gentleman,
Senior
and,
citizen.
senior gentleman,
I qualify.
and you are right there with the energy, right from beginning to end. You don't look like you miss a beat.
Well, I've been doing it a long time, but Sensei Takahashi is a fabulous teacher, and he really brings out the best in you. And I feel very comfortable in the class because it has been 10 years since I've been practicing. And so, we go our own pace, but we keep up with each other.
Yes.
So, psychologically, we go our own pace, but physically, we keep up with each
So
other.
it's the group energy.
Yeah.
All helps.
And you feed off it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yes.
Now, folks at home, are you all sitting down? Ed, when did you start?
I started 10 years ago.
And you
And
were?
I was 53 then. And that makes me 63 now.
It's wonderful.
And I started as a lark. My son and I were walking past Sensei Takahashi's new dojo in Katona. And he thought he'd like to try it for the summer. This was in June. And I thought, well, that'd be nice to do something together for the summer. But I just thought I'd get a little bit of exercise. I didn't know whether they'd allow me to do it, but Sensei Takahashi asked me if I felt good, and I said yes. And so I tried it. And my son went off to school, and I got hooked, and I've been doing it ever since. I do it 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week, and it's very important in my life. I learned how to use a part of my brain that I never knew existed with karate. Well, see, when I paint and when I write, I use a certain amount of brain energy, right?
Yes.
And when I come to karate, I'm already tired because it's the end of the day for me.
Yes.
And I arrive tired, and I find I'm using a part of my brain that I didn't even know existed. It's just another part of the brain that isn't used because it requires a very different kind of concentration. And so when I leave refreshed rather than tired.
I think artists call it the right side, or is
And
it
the left side. Well,
Yes.
I think the art is the left. I'm not sure, but they say we only use about 60% of our brain.
Yes, they do.
Anyway, so I really, it's amazing. I really use a part of my brain that I don't use during the day. And it's wonderful, you know, it's another asset, so to speak.
I'm with Jan Goldsworthy, woman warrior at the Takahashi Dojo. Jan, welcome. How are you today? Okay, why don't you tell the folks at home how you started?
Well, I wanted to study judo when I was very small, and my parents checked out the place and didn't like the looks of it, and then I just never got around to it again. Then right after high school, I had a chance to study, and I came down here and watched. This is a matter of luck. I walked into this place, the first place I walked into, and I kind of found this jewel, so to speak.
A lot of people seem to be drawn. They said something happened and they just came here.
Yeah, there's something about senseis. You can't take your eyes off him, especially when he works, and to think that, well, I'd like to be able to do that. And I remember the first time I came to watch, it was mostly brown belts, and I had no experience, and it looked a little intimidating, but I was willing to jump in and give it a try.
Now, when I was watching the class, you don't look intimidated at all. You look very tough. And in fact, the guys look like they're watching you. They're trying to cover their own behind watching
Well,
you.
I'd like to think that, but I try to keep up with them. I try to use my speed, and I try to be precise. I try to see the movement when I do the kata, and it's a lot of it's imagination. A lot of it's inside here, and not so much out here.
I'm with Keith Corman at the Takahashi Dojo in Mount Kisco. And Keith, why don't you tell the audience at home how you started meeting here? Everyone has their own funky little story here, so.
I came with a friend and I saw Sensei practice one time, and I said, this guy is for me. And I used to travel from New York to come to this dojo. And eventually I was lucky and found a place to live up here next to my dojo.
Most people commute to a job.
Well, that's right, but I used to commute to a dojo.
Terrific. So you're very dedicated.
Was, yes.
Yes.
I was.
What did you study before?
I practiced Taekwondo for a little while when I was a kid, 16, 17. And now I'm much older. I started again when I was 29, and I feel great.
I can't believe it. You look, like I was saying before, you're how old now?
I'm 33 now.
And you look like you're about 23. Everyone here looks very young. What did you take? Is something in the water here?
No, it's Good Wife, karate, and vodka.
And if anyone wants more information, where can they contact you here, Mount Kisco? The address.
11 Main Street, Mount Kisco. And so,
There you have it.
yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sensei.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure. Us.
Hi, I'm Brian Wilkes. We're here speaking with one of the pioneers of karate on the East Coast, Mr. Nick Adler, an 8th Dan instructor in Isshin-Ryu. Mr. Adler, you've been in the karate scene in the East Coast well, let you give a little of your own background. You began teaching, I believe, almost 25 years ago?
A little over that, 1962.
1962 in, I believe it's Sayville, Long Island?
That's correct.
Yes. You're also the promoter of one of the longest running tournaments, regular tournaments in the East. And in that capacity, I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes in tournaments over the last 3 decades. Can you describe some of those changes for the better or for the worse?
Well, yes, I throw 2 tournaments a year, Nick Adler's Northeast Open and the Greater Long Island Open. Plus, I judge in most of the A-rated tournaments. There's a lot of tournaments now, and there's no restrictions on who can throw them. And a lot of times, people who throw tournaments really are not qualified to throw it. They really don't have the working staff to run the tournament. They count on too much of people just coming in and helping them, and this is when you run into a problem once you don't have the working staff to set up your rings. And a lot of people set up more rings because they figure the tournament's going to run faster. The more rings you set up, the more people you have to staff them. And if you're really not, you know, a AAA tournament or an A-rated tournament, you really don't have the work staff to run it. So my advice to people who are going to start throwing tournaments is start out with 8 rings, It's a lot easier than trying to run with 12 or 20 or whatever.
There are a lot of problems that now for somebody trying to organize a tournament that may not have been 20 or 30 years ago. What do you think now is the biggest problem for a tournament promoter?
Well, they run too many divisions, too many different divisions. Self-defense, breaking, musical forms, open. And here again, you run into the problems. How many people are really qualified to judge all these type of events and give a fair shake to the person who's an open competitor or a person who's a traditionalist? They kind of get lost in the shuffle.
You think the break between the modern styles and the more traditional schools, should that be emphasized a little more?
Well, tradition means that you do the same thing more than once. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick. A good technique is a good technique, whether you're a traditionalist or open stylist. I don't think an open stylist should be picked on because he's an open stylist, or a traditionalist be picked on because he's a traditionalist. But when we come out with a rule book which has 30 pages on it, we're lucky we can get people to work out and say, this is a point, you should have balance, you should have eye focus, and you should have proper extension of your kick or punch. It's really not that hard. And the idea of the rule is I hit you before you hit me, not, one foot in, one foot out. It gives the officials so much to worry about, it's really hard for them to call a match.
That proverbial dark alley. What happens when your house is down there and you're here and you have to avoid danger? Sometimes you just have to avoid going through that dark alley. But if you can't, here is something that you can do. That was some job. How do you feel?
Good. The main thing was just getting the hand up in time, because it's out of the blue and you don't know what to do, but it's basically reaction, and from there it's using what you know, and in that case I was just able to get him back as far as I can run away and I can get back home.
Did you ever have to use it in a real situation, Armand?
To this point, no, but I have the confidence in case it does happen, which may or may not happen, and that doesn't concern me at this point, but if it does happen, I know that I stand some chance.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a description of what Armand did?
What he did basically was, as soon as I put my hand around his throat, he immediately reacted by lifting his other arm up and being prepared for a strike. Because for the most part, when an attacker grabs you with one hand, the other hand is always going to strike, at least for the most part, most of the time. What he did was he blocked with a strong block, and immediately came in with a double strike and then a lunging side kick to the stomach area, which immobilized me. Again, the element of surprise is important. What he did was he surprised me. An attacker is never expecting a victim to fight back that quickly. And that's the most important part of self-defense, is knowing that you can defend yourself by using the surprise element.
Actually, the first thing I saw Armand do was try to avoid. Is that what you teach things?
Yeah, we always try to teach avoidance methods. It's very, very important that a child always avoids situations before they happen. And of course, the most important part is making sure that the child is aware of his surroundings. Knowing when he walks home, he doesn't walk through backyards. Knowing that he always walks in well-lit area. This should be taught by the parent at home, and it's important.